Connection is Goog. Looking Goog. Looking Goog. Alright. Let's kick this shit off nice and strong. Let's get right into it. What's up, guys? I thought I would make my return and that I would open it up onto more of a live situation just to make it feel a bit more natural rather than a recording. And this time I'm opening up the line to any questions about anything. Literally, you want to talk conspiracies, you want to talk mental health, you want to talk about anything. Any question, hit me up, hit the line, 18 plus only, and make sure that you're willing to pay. If you're not on unlimited call plan, then take that into consideration, please. But the line is there, and this is not like a line just for, you know, a little like this isn't like a hotline like, oh, help me hotline. This is a kind of, if you've got a question about anything, you want anything running past, you know, you want a quick chat about anything that you want expanding on, hit the line and I will be sure to answer. But yeah, I've been away for a little bit and yeah, I've just been spending a lot of time figuring out what I really wanted to do, whether I wanted to completely stop streaming or whether I wanted to just make content or not make content. And I have been making more music recently. Been trying to get back into doing creative things and get back into that process and slowly work it up again. It's a lot of back and forth at the moment, basically. But yeah, I'm back for now, so if you guys have any questions, anything, let me know. Hit the line, have a little talk. Black Friday is coming up. Got those deals, maybe some vitamins or something. Gotta be protected in the winter. There's so many different types of like supplements now. Such a variation in things you can take. Things that I'm like, would that even help? Like, what the hell is a natural astaxanthin? Natural astaxanthin. Nobody knows what that is when it's at home. Literally nobody. I certainly don't. So, I don't know how anyone else would. Let me turn down my camera's gain, because it is bright. And it might get a bit warm in my room, actually. So I'll just quickly turn on the AC. What else has been happening? There actually hasn't been much, it's been really calm. Let me see. Let's open another ginger beer. The line will be open for a little bit, for a little while. So if you want to hit that line, hit the motherfucking line. If you want to hit the line, hit it. If you don't, you can just watch, you can just chill. And that's how we're doing it. What else could we do? Should we play some games? I don't know what to do. I just thought I'd slap it on, you know? But I feel like maybe putting some like game content as well would be a little too chaotic. I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. I don't know whether it'd be too chaotic, or what, you know? It possibly could be. Could be too much going on at once. If I'm here trying to play the new Battlefield, whilst talking to anyone, it might be a bit much. I like how if I fucking look down, the keying element does not work at all. It's like, oh, you have a hat? We would have never guessed, bruh. We've been sticking to a new kind of diet regime. No snacking, no bullshit, you know. Drinking a lot of coffee, which is a good natural laxative, which does help with weight loss. It's also cutting down on the amount of sugar I eat every day, which could be contributing to the weight loss, which is good. But also you taking down your, you know, taking down any kind of sugar, what's it called? Like, I don't know whether the insulin goes up or down, but I know that by cutting out sugar from your diet as much as possible, it's healthy. There's no real negative unless you do have diabetes, and that stuff needs to be controlled. Then cutting down sugar is a good thing, I think. Personally, for me it is, up until I start feeling like maybe lightheaded or slightly dizzy. And then whenever I do feel like that, I just have a little bit of sugar. Not a lot, just something to boost you back up a little bit. And by that I mean like maybe like a teaspoon. Put it in a coffee or something. And that'll usually keep you going, to be honest. That will keep you going for a little while. But I tend to get very dizzy anyway, so I tend not to really notice it anymore. Whereas when I was younger, I used to not be dizzy all the time, and then when I would have not enough sugar in my system, after an hour, 2 hours, I would start getting really lightheaded and dizzy. So sugar played like this key role in my whole development. It was just something that my body seemed like it needed. And obviously I've had all the tests and all this and everything's fine. It's just maybe when I was growing up I had like a slight like need for sugar, maybe. I don't know what that could be actually. Maybe it was just a fast metabolism, maybe because I was playing a lot of sports. I was, burning through all that, whether it's insulin or what's that other one called? Glucose. Cause I used to have a lot of glucose drinks as well when I was playing sports. That was necessary. And it just always seemed like it was necessary for me. But as I got older and older, it started affecting me more, like health-wise. And I'm now 24 years old, and you just can't really be smashing out sugar the same way if you care about your health. It's just not smart. I don't really enjoy snacking anymore. I wish I did, to be honest. I wish that I could eat all the time and actually enjoy that, but what can you do, You gotta do things for your health, you gotta make compromises, and you gotta listen to your body. But like I say, I am kind of glad that my body started reacting to it differently, because when something's like a necessity, it's also not a good thing, and I much prefer now knowing that my body knows its limits, my mind knows its limits, rather than the way it used to be, which was, it was so like I could do whatever I wanted, so it meant that I was making unhealthy choices, because you don't know what's going on inside of you. You don't know what's going on inside your body all the time. And now I get like the body signals, like if you have too much caffeine, your heart starts palpitating. I'm like, oh, I need to chill out. I need to drop the caffeine content. I need to drink more water, stay hydrated. All those things. Like, my body just gives me signals now. whenever I've had too much sugar, too much caffeine, not enough of this, not enough of that, you know, I read all those signals and pay attention to that. And when I was younger, and I'm not talking like young, I'm talking like maybe 5 years ago, that was totally different. And I think that that's kind of strange how in like 5 years your body totally can like mutate in a way that it's almost like this shift in the whole construction of your body. Say, because I'm 24 now, that 5 years ago I would have been 19. When I was 19, you know, you're an adult, but at the end of the day, and they even say, by 19 you're an adult, you know, you're fully developed. I don't think that's quite true. Because when I was 19, I was a totally different person than I am now. The person I am now is totally different from the person I was 3 years ago, you know. Maybe not body-wise, but definitely mentally. So I think maybe there's like a thing of that you're always going to constantly evolve and slightly change over time. But I do feel like going forward there is going to be, you know, a certain cap to it. There's going to be some sort of limit to how much you can really then change the physicality of what's going on with you. You can lose weight, you can gain weight, but the actual structure you have no control of at that point. Whereas when you're growing up, you don't actually realize, because you're young, you don't realize how much influence you have over your development and your growth at that time, and we're not given resources to fully understand that. I don't know why I yawn so much whenever I start talking a lot, you know. It's terrible because it's not very nice to listen to someone yawning all the time. It probably makes the people listening tired, and I apologize for it, but I don't know what it is. It's why I originally didn't really podcast all that much, is because I just started yawning all the time, and then when I'd stop yawning. Like, I feel like maybe there's a thing in the whole like energy outtake of it, that you're constantly having to think of what to talk about, and also the fact of you're constantly having to talk at the same time as thinking of what the next thing you're going to talk about is. That's just me so tired. And I think I would get over it if I did it enough. It's just that I don't do it, you know. I think I would get over that in time. But it's a skill to kind of work on. I just get anxious that it does take away from the content, because it's hard to maintain that kind of energy level. The person I am outside of this is very energetic and then sometimes very calm, but that is more the disorders that I deal with than anything. The constant energy uptake and then the elevation and then back up, back down. So I might as well call this the sleepy stream, you know. If you have any advice to do sleep, please let me know. Hit the line. The number is above my head right there. Hit the line, give me some sleep advice. I didn't sleep very well last night. Oh, that could be why I'm yawning as well. That could play a factor in it. I really didn't sleep very well last night, and I kind of fucked up the day because of that. Messed up like the routine of the day anyway. You end up waking up later than you should, And like I say, when you're now so much more different than you were when you were 19, you don't have that same ability to just power through. You deal with consequences. You really do. As a developed, mature adult, you have to deal with the consequences of the actions you make. When you're young, the things you can do to your body without consequences so huge. Whereas the older you get, the more conscious you have to be of what you're putting into your body and what you're pushing out. You know, you have to be conscious of that, because there is that repercussion and there is that consequence of each individual action, you know. Like a hangover isn't the same anymore when you're older, because you'll have a 3-day hangover. It won't just be, you know, that morning or maybe a day at max, you know, if at all. There's a lot of younger people who just don't have it at all. And when I think back to a time where I wouldn't, that boggles my mind. That I feel hungover, and I don't drink. I'm sober and I've been clean for plus 4 years now. So, I feel hungover though from just being tired. I get that exact same feeling that I would from drinking heavily, from just waking up, without drinking, without doing anything, looking after my health, just by not sleeping. If I don't sleep, it's a horrible day the next day, you know? And I'm not meaning this to sound all negative. I think it's actually a balanced way to look at it. Is it comes with positives and negatives. That yes, it can suck to deal with at times, and you're like, oh, I wish I didn't have to, you know, deal with the consequences. But dealing with those consequences, you learn a lot, and you become more mature through that process. You learn how to live in a healthier manner and look after yourself. Whereas when you're younger, your body is just a punching bag, and you just want to see how many hits it can take, you know. Whereas as you get older, you realize, well, it sucks to be a punching bag all the time, especially when the only person punching it is you. So as you grow older, you're like, instead of being a punching bag, how about I be a comfort bag? How about I be a bean bag, you know? Be something comfortable, be something that doesn't hurt, you know? Be something that is relaxing, something that will be consistent, and be something that, not just consistent, but I don't want to repeat words, but comfortable in every meaning of that word. That you're not just comfortable in physicality, but in a mentality of, you want to be settled, and you want to feel a level of calm in terms of where you are and the situations you're putting yourself into and the places that you go into. Whereas when you're younger, those things don't really matter, because you're young and there's so many opportunities, and you know, there's no consequence, so you can just mess up because you got the time to make mistakes. And I'm not saying at 24 years old that you don't have time to make mistakes. Of course you do. You got the rest of your life ahead of you, but it's really the start of being mature. It's the start of being an adult. It's the start of understanding that this is the rest of your life, you know? Whereas everything before was, everything is fresh, everything is, everything is everlasting. You know, you're invincible, so time doesn't exist. Whereas now, you are. There's a mortality to it. I don't know if that's the right word. There's a forget the word. It's just that time becomes of more importance, and you understand the time better. You understand that there is a time frame, and that we get this chance every day to open up those opportunities and do the most with them. So we take advantage of that, you know, more so than when you're younger. And these are just, you know, these are just things that I can think of currently. The differences between where I was and where I am now, even within the past 5 years of my life. So I guess that people hate growing older, but young people just want to skip to getting older. And I guess people who are older just want to go back. And it's a real juxtaposition when, in reality, when you're young, you would imagine you just want to stay young. And when you're old, you know what it was like to be young, right? But everyone looks back with these rose-tinted glasses. You know, I'm trying to think of the word that sounds really intelligent for it. That makes it seem romanticizing it. You know, we romanticize our youth, but we don't actually look at it in a balanced manner. We look at it with rose-tinted glasses, and the fact that we don't look at the anxieties, and we don't look at the unsureness of who we are, and the unsureness of where to go. And like, you can say that will always follow you to some extent through no matter your age, but it definitely calms down with age. And I don't feel like that's possible if you are young, because you're just lacking time. You're lacking time spent. There's so little time spent, you know, because you've not been around long enough. And, you know, it sounds like I'm trying to say that when you're young, you're naive, which I don't believe is the case for everyone. But when I was young, I was street smart, but I was naive in terms of understanding what education meant. Like, I thought education was this thing that I was stuck into, that I was like forced to go to, which, if you look at it straight on, it is. But when you look back in a balanced manner, you understand the opportunities it may have gave you. You understand with hindsight the possibilities that it could have provided. And you know, you can't go back to that time, but you can re-access those things. And I would have never understood that as a younger person the first time going around that, and understanding that education was something that, yes, in high school and things like that, there was no way for me to really access those the education in the best manner for me. That I do work better outside of a typical classroom, that I learn in a different manner, but you would have never understood that the first time round. So that's the advantage of being older, that you begin to learn that maybe because the thing didn't work the first time around doesn't mean it doesn't work at all. It just means that maybe there's a different way of doing that thing, you know? And that's the beauty of hindsight, that you do get multiple opportunities throughout life to retry things, that it's not a one-stop shop. The time itself in the whole frame, the full frame, is a one-stop shop. But within that one frame, there is, well, within, let's say, within that one clip, say your life is a clip, there's multiple frames. And, you know, we put our life into a video editing software, we go through it frame by frame. There's nothing to stop you going back to the last frame and editing that. It is a bit different because you're not physically going to go back in time. You can't change the things you've already done, but you can change the way you do things with that kind of, that thing that you wanted to do. You can retry that. You can't change the thing that you already did, but you can change the things you do, right? And that's where you get a second opportunity. Like with education, you can go back into education and you can go back into the activities you wanted to do. And you don't sometimes realize that you ever wanted to do them till it's past. So that first time round, sometimes being young can suck. And that's my point, that we don't have this balanced view of being young. We don't understand how it sucks, because we want to make the grass greener on the other side, because for some reason there's something about our human mind that always wants there to be it's almost like this like self-destructive element of saying like the good is gone, you know, that from here on out it's downhill. Which I don't agree with. I don't think that that's how lives work. I don't believe that it's too late to change the way you think and the things that you do. The only thing I can agree with is like the whole growing structure of your biology. That is something we don't really get much choice over, but if we're talking about choice of what we do with our physicality, then we have choice no matter the age. And mentally we can always choose to be better, and we can choose to assess ourselves and be conscious of ourselves and the time space situation that we are in, and to try and look at the past as something to really learn from and maybe try and reproduce in a better form, not to just completely let go of the past, but to look at the past and be like, maybe I can repurpose some of this for a better future. They're just thoughts. I don't know if any of that actually makes sense. It makes sense in my head, but one thing I've come to understand is the way I speak can be quite almost like a jigsaw puzzle, you know? Like, for me, I'm just putting the pieces together, and I think you see the full picture, but it's not always the case. For some people, they may really like be able to think in that same way I think and not receive the information in the same way, but I know for not everyone is gonna really understand what I mean. And sometimes, you know what, I don't even know what I mean. I just ramble off things and I go down these little rabbit holes. I like to investigate things, no matter what it is. I like to investigate because I think no matter what it is, there's an importance to everything. And there's no such thing as like stupid ideas, you know? Some of my best ideas came from accepting that there's no stupid ideas, that to just think freely and investigate those feelings and thoughts, whether it seems like it could be a waste of time. If you're doing nothing else with that time, are you really wasting it? You know, are you really... If you have free time and you're spending it, you know, going down rabbit holes and thinking and developing thoughts and emotions over things, that seems like time well spent to me. And I know that not everyone thinks the exact same way I do, but I think that by me communicating in that way, I can kind of get across that there is that kind of thing of like, no matter what you do with it, it is okay, and that we're all just trying to improve, and that we all have different answers, that there isn't one definite way, you know. Because a lot of my opinions and maybe answers are based off things I learnt from other people. It's very hard to have completely original, or is it original? I don't even know anymore. To have original thoughts that have never ever been thought of before, because they all have a root, you know. All those things have a root, and all those things will continue to be developed from a source. I don't even know if it is really possible to have complete original thought. I think everything is almost like a slight remix of old. That everything has an element of history in there. That everything is kind of like storytelling. It's like this rite of passages, a thing passed down through generations and generations, that the language just gets recycled, and that because language is the almost like when you're thinking in your own language, right? And that's how you come up with the words to speak and everything. That there's only so much language, so your thoughts are limited, and all those words have been created before, and maybe there'd be a lot of possibilities of the way you could conjure up those words, but it's limited still. It's not an infinite possibility of ways you could rearrange those words. So at some point, everything will have been said, unless new language is made, unless new words are made, unless there's new structure, unless there's new possibilities of language. That at some point, everything has been said. That there is no original, there's just remixed. You know, there's just this old but new. And that's okay, because at least in that way, we are benefiting other people no matter what. When we talk and when we think and when we pass on those emotions, that everything does get passed down. So there's always a legacy of people and humans and people. Doesn't matter who you are, there's input there that you've had on someone else, and that may have impacted their life and then to impact another life, and that could go through generations and you would never know. And I'm pretty sure that is the case for a lot of people, and you never would know it, you know. You don't know how you influenced another person's thinking unless they tell you. And that's something quite interesting, that even when people think they are worthless, how you can kind of deem a little bit of worth into yourself at all times. That if anything, you are benefiting someone else, and you are worthy of at least some self-care and pride, because you are part of the time and situation you are placed within. You know, you are part of history in that manner. You're part of someone else's journey. You're part of a lot of people's journey, and you know that with that, there's something to be proud of in that. You know, there's something to be proud of just waking up every day. That it seems like this automatic thing, but it's a blessing to wake up, first of all, and second, it's something to be proud of, because everything is kind of like this unsureness, and the fact that you are here, or you are listening or not listening, or whoever you are, there's that. You should have some pride in just being here, because, you know, I would say that in future years, You know, we look back at certain other times as such influential times, but maybe in 20, 30 years time, 40 years time, we'll look back and be like, our time was so influential, you know. Or maybe it will be for other generations. We don't know how they're going to look back at the things that we did with our time. That maybe right now you can't understand why you should be proud of that. And maybe by someone saying that you should, and trying to explain why that might be, it might help you kind of have that little bit more, like 1%, you know, 1% more will to deal with it, to deal with the day, to deal with waking up and getting out of bed. And if there can be that 1% change, it's 1% better, you know. That if you can keep making yourself 1% better, that those numbers really add up over the course of your life, you know. And that's all the real aim is, the real targets are, if you want to put it all down to numbers, is to be 1% better, you know, to keep being 1% better. And I genuinely believe that if you are assessing yourself and you are being conscious of your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings, and making sure that you're speaking to people, making sure that you're passing on that information, that every so often, whether it's a day or a week or a month or a year, you're 1% better, you know. And by the time that you grow old, you are a completely different person to the person that you started out as. And like I say, going back to that pride thing, think about it. You used to be this little squishy ball of fat and bones that just went goo goo gaga and had to be fed and had to have its arse wiped, and all this like care that was necessary just for you to exist. Whereas now you're a functioning person that has developed and can understand language, isn't understanding the whole goo goo gaga shit. That you have a developed language, that you can understand that language and you can manipulate the language. That there's something within just being human, just being understanding, that there's something there to be proud of. That it doesn't have to be all, you know, it doesn't all have to be this like no purpose, like, oh, the meaning of life, or to believe that there's a meaning of life, to believe there is a purpose to it, but maybe to understand that there is no purpose. And with no purpose, I can't make that much of a ridiculous statement. I was gonna say with no purpose, that automatically means there's a purpose, but then that becomes a looped metaphor, which is ridiculous. I don't know why my brain thought that was even remotely true. What I was kind of trying to say, I guess, is that even when you feel like how do I word this? This is a hard one. I've got it in my head, but I don't know how to word it properly that makes a lot of sense. Even if, say you do think there's meaning to life, and you believe that, and I'm not saying do or don't believe that, I'm just putting out this theory, right? Say you do believe that there is this meaning to life, and say the probable thing is, if you believe there's a meaning to life, you've probably not found it yet. And if it isn't there for you currently, what was it originally that made you believe there is a meaning to life? Did you know someone that had found their meaning to life, or did they believe that they had found their meaning to life? And maybe do you think that it's necessary for there to be a meaning? Do you think that say that there is, right? Say there is a meaning. Is it necessary to be happy, to be content, to understand the meaning of everything? Because life is everything. This is what we've got. Our reality, whatever you want to call it, that's everything. It contains everything. It's a box, and within that box is your whole life, you know? But do you have to understand it all? I'm not saying do you have to understand math, science, all this crap, right? I'm saying to understand the bigger picture, right? Do you have to understand that to be happy? Or do you just have to understand what it is to be happy? Maybe it's more simple than understanding the meaning of life. Maybe you need to understand the meaning of happiness. Maybe you need to understand what is within happiness, what defines your happiness. Maybe you need to focus more on happiness than the meaning of happiness, right? Just focus on achieving what you already believe to make you happy in that moment. Focus on doing that, you know. Focus on the things that make you happy each day, and that will evolve with time. And I think that if you are constantly searching for this meaning in life and that you require it, maybe I can clear that water for you a little bit, is that meaning of life is going to evolve over time. Because remember, as I was saying, being a squishy ball of fat and bones, when you were that, the meaning of life was being close to your mother or whoever, you know, being close to someone that made you feel comfortable. And also, but more so than that, and this is the bit that's kind of ridiculous, is as a child, nothing really matters. There is no meaning. You just understand that there's baby feed, and you want that all the time, and you want to sleep all the time, and you want to play, and that's the meaning. That's literally the whole picture. But as you grow, even from that till maybe like 3 years old, 4 years old, the meaning has already changed. It's developed, it's matured, and that is the case throughout the whole of time, that it develops on everyone's individual time frame. That thing will develop, and that in that way the meaning of life mutates, and that you couldn't pinpoint the one singular meaning of life, that's always going to change. So why endlessly chase something that I don't think you can possibly fully understand or understand the meaning of? I think that you would be more content in your own heart by chasing happiness than chasing the meaning of all of it, you know. I think to pursue something that mutates so consistently ahead of your time, I think all you can know is the scenario you're in currently, the present and the past. And you know what makes you happy in the past, and you know what makes you happy now. And if you do know what makes you happy now, to focus on that rather than future meanings, because I guess that is what people are searching for, is the meaning, because they think that will provide them a path to go down, which means that they're trying to look into the future almost for a path, you know. But maybe if there isn't a defined path, the path has already been kind of working its way, throughout your history to your present. You're already on the path, but it doesn't matter where the path goes. Just know that the path will go. The path will go whichever way it goes, and there's no left path, there's no right path. That you can go in the S, you can go around, you can go wherever you want with it, and that none of that is wrong and none of that is right. It is all how you perceive it. And I think there's a lot more contentness, at least, in that than there is constantly chasing this one particular answer. I think it's a way more complex thing than just this linear idea. Than this linear path, I think it's way more complex, and I think it takes a lot of self-investigation and digging into your past and digging into really how situations turned out and how that made you feel. That it takes a lot of mental energy over time to really put those pieces together, and I don't think you get to see the big picture, but you get to at least take a peek. I don't think you get to understand every little piece. I just think, if we want to make an analogy or a metaphor from a jigsaw, that when you're putting that thing together, that in the end there will be a full picture, right? But you're never gonna remember every single individual piece to understand that full picture. You can see the full picture, but you can't fully understand it, because to fully understand it would be to fully remember every single piece that you laid, right? And no one has that kind of memory. We just can't physically, or maybe biologically, store that much. I think it would destroy us. I think nature's built us the way we are for a reason. That things do have a temporary nature to them. That not everything is permanent, and that's where slightly the happiness and the contentness actually kind of stems from, is the fact that things change and evolve, that there is no singular one answer. I think that in a way it's a good thing that you can't remember every single piece you laid. If you could remember every single piece you laid, I just don't think you would see the beauty in the image anymore. I don't think there'd be any mystery. There'd be no confusion. And that might sound great, that there'd be no confusion or mystery to things, you just know. But that would take away the beauty of it. That would take away some of the mysticism of life. It would take away some of the things that we find incredible. That there is some sort of amazing nature to not understanding things, to constantly be evolving in a way that a lot of us cannot understand, and that's just by nature. And sometimes you just gotta trust in that. You just gotta trust in how you are where you are through history, that people have made it this far. And to think that everyone always had a plan, they didn't, and we made it this far. So you don't need a plan. It doesn't have to be this one linear path. There doesn't have to be the right answer to it. You can make those mistakes, because ultimately those mistakes are going to be the thing that helps you evolve as a person. And I think that in a way, just kind of forgetting that you put all those pieces down and then seeing the image, it's like, holy shit, how is this image even created? And it requires investigation, which probably makes you understand better in detail half of the pieces of the puzzle, rather than seeing the whole picture and not understanding at all. Because if you understood a little bit about every single piece, I don't think you really understand anything. I'd rather know as much as I can about these specific things than know a little bit about absolutely everything. That, you know, it's nice to have that general knowledge, but at the same time, it's good to be a specialist. That if we all specialize in something, we all contribute to each other. Whereas if everyone knew a little bit about everything, I think we would all know nothing. Or we'd all know the same stuff. And again, I think that takes the fun out of life. I think that takes some of the incredibleness out of it. That there's something nice about learning. And there's something nice about being wrong and making mistakes, because then you have the chance to do it right. But if you were never wrong, and this is probably where my speech is going to start getting a bit bullshitty, right? Because I just thought about it and it sounds fucking cheesy. If you're never wrong, how do you know you were ever right? And that is the worst quote I've ever said. It's true in a way, but it's cheesy as fuck. And sometimes my brain does that. My brain likes these cheesy quotes that, you know, stick with you because they're so simple and they're so, you know, almost like the cheesiness makes it stick in your head. You like, if it was something that didn't make you cringe, you probably don't remember it. Whereas all those bad horror films, like the really bad ones, the ones that make you cringe, are actually awesome. And the way they are awesome is that you remember them and you enjoy them because they make you feel that way, you know. But yeah, I think I have probably rattled and rambled for long enough. It's been nearly an hour and I think that's decent. To have listed off my mind and gone down those rabbit holes for that long, I think that's pretty decent. I don't know about you guys, but I think that's probably a good time to call it around there. I don't want it to be hours and hours and hours because people get tired of listening. And hopefully next time I can maybe invite some people to talk. I'll have to see. That I will still have the number up there for anyone to call in from your mobile. You can call in, doesn't matter where you're from, just call in. You know, any questions, life experience that you just want to get off your chest. I'm here to listen. I'm here to think about things and explore, you know. So yeah, I hope that I haven't completely just scrambled your brain with my rambling, and that maybe there is some sense in there and that you can understand some of the things that I rattled off. And even if you can't, maybe it helped you inadvertently. That sometimes it's just nice to listen to someone ramble. If it distracts you, if it helps you maybe even pass that time, maybe it's a tough time, maybe you just needed to listen to something. And sometimes I have that myself, where I just need distracting. It doesn't matter what the real information is, and that's okay, because I understand that, and I don't take those things personally. I actually think there's a positive to all of that. I listen to this podcast on Spotify, and it's called Sleep With Me. And the guy fully understands that no one will remember his podcast, like the actual details within the podcasts, because he's designed the podcast deliberately, and he does a thing with the way he talks deliberately, making it very relaxing and calming and rambling. You know, he'll go down rabbit holes and endless sentences and stuff like that to lightly distract you so you can sleep. And it's like when you listen to an audiobook before you sleep, it's no good. You have to go back chapters because you can't remember, because you fell asleep probably way before the time that you thought you fell asleep by. And that podcast has helped me so much, and I appreciate him for what he does, and he understands that, and that's why he made the podcast. And obviously I didn't make my podcast for that purpose, but I understand that purpose, and I enjoy his because of that purpose. So maybe through that, you know, listening to him, I really understand that it's, again, not a linear thing. Maybe people are inducing this content for different purposes, and I am understanding of that. So don't ever worry about, oh, I didn't pay attention, or I forgot this and I didn't understand that, and, you know, none of that matters. What matters is you are here, and what matters, well, that doesn't matter, you know, in a way. What matters is you're okay at the end. You don't have to pay attention to the information. You don't have to pay attention to me or the things I say. You don't even have to be on this form of content right now. But if you are, I'm very appreciative of it, and I'm appreciative of any of the kind of support I get with any of the things that I do. And I hope that if I can possibly provide someone the sense of making a small amount of time 1% better, then I'm more than happy with that. Because I know at the end of the day, I make this content, and I am realistic in the terms of a lot of the time no one watches it. So if someone does end up watching it, and it's one person in one moment where that was 1% better, that's already 1% better than the original purpose why I was making the content. So, and yeah, I just think that I'll probably do this whenever I can do it. I can't always be, you know, on track. I can't really set up a schedule right now, but I just wanted to come back and provide maybe a little start to something. I just wanted to try it out, see how it went. I think it went well for me to talk for an hour. I don't think I'd be able to go this long, and I think I found my groove. I think I did find the groove in talking and not yawning as much, which is good. But yeah, I did say I was going to end it pretty soon, and I've started rambling again. That's okay. I hope you all have a good night or morning, wherever you are, and hopefully I will see you again. If not, take care. And if I do see you again, say hello. And the next time, again, just repeat it one more time. Next time, I'll leave this hotline above my head open, and feel free to call it. It's open to anyone. Basically, talk about anything that you are comfortable talking about. But yeah, till that next time, be good, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.